So hello everyone, it's the Cricket Connoisseur here and welcome to episode 25 of the TCC Talks podcast. On today's episode, I'm joined by an absolute icon of the South African domestic cricket scene, a man who's been playing first-class cricket longer than I've actually been alive for. It is my absolute pleasure to introduce you to none other than Momentum Multiply Titans and Pile Rock's opening batsman, Henry Davids. So first things first, Henry, thank you very much for coming onto the podcast today, mate. How's your day been so far?
Hi, Aaron. Thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a busy day. We started training this week, or last week, sorry, with fitness tests, the usual pre-season fitness test, running around, gymming. I play 2 rounds of golf a week, and then, family time, keeping myself busy.
It's very, very, very busy. We'll talk a bit about the golf later because there's an innovation that came about from golf in cricket, actually, which I'd like to just discuss slightly. But to kickstart the podcast, I wanted to start right at the beginning of your cricketing origin, really, Henry. So what was your first ever memory of cricket, either playing or watching the game?
My first memory of cricket was when I was a kid, basically. I think it was like 4 or 5, and the only reason why it was, while growing up, I saw it in a photo album, myself as a kid, 4-year-old, playing cricket with a stump. My family went to some beach somewhere, so I was there plodding around with a stump. I grew up in a cricketing family. My dad played cricket, my brother, we used to go to the cricket ground. Very similar, like in England, it's a family thing. Where you go to cricket grounds as a family, watch cricket, support your dad, watch your dad play, and that's basically how I got into it. I think I fell in love, obviously, growing up into cricket. I fell in love with it very, very, very quick in my lifetime, basically. So I started playing club cricket for my under 12 team when I was 6 years old.
Wow, it's very young.
That's very young. Yeah, it's very young. No, I basically filled in for someone because I didn't have enough players, and that's how it started. And I always played with an older group of friends. Basically, my brother's friends. He didn't enjoy it a lot. He's 5 years older than me. I was always playing with him, competing with him, and I think that this gave me a little bit of an edge. It just fast tracked my personality, but my way of how I play sports, all different types of sports. Obviously playing with older boys that's more advanced as what you are, and like the human body is, you adapt quickly. You have to learn to be able to play with them very early on. So I think that was my kickstart very early on in my career.
Well, that's a very interesting start. So very, very young, obviously a massive family element. You mentioned your dad and your brother. Just talking about your dad, I had to bring this up because this was absolute gold from your ESPN Cricinfo interview. Just to read this out, my dad actually missed my birth because he was on the cricket field. That was probably a sign in a way. Brilliant. Yeah. How big of a cricket badger was your dad?
He was obviously a very big drive in my cricketing career early on. Like I said, he missed. Or my mother told me that he missed my birth because he was in the cricket field. He was late when he got to hospital. My mom saying as he walked in, he's like, "What is it? If it's a boy or girl?" Because back then, there wasn't technology to say, "Listen, it's a boy or a girl." Because obviously my brother was a boy. They lost their first kid was a boy as well. So I think my mother was fairly for having a girl. I think she's fairly happy I turned out into a boy eventually. So that's the start. No, my dad was a massive drive. I think he pushed me early on. My brother, obviously with South African past, my brother didn't have the opportunity to play professional cricket because it was in that time. So he told my dad when I was like 12, 13, because I played with them and against the older boys. And he said, "Listen, Dad, it looks like you can play with the cricket, or if we have an opportunity, just push him a little bit, or like spend money, send him for coaching and stuff like that." So when I went to high school, my dad invested a lot of money in my sport, and I loved it because all I wanted to do was I wanted to play cricket. From when I was 15, I knew I was going to play cricket for the rest of my life. I didn't want to do anything else. I remember I told my, when I was like 9 years old, I said I want to be a doctor one day. Didn't turn out. But at 15, all that I wanted to do was I wanted to play cricket.
Well, that's incredible, and it paid off, didn't it? As I said, you're an absolute icon for the South African domestic scene, especially for the Titans and the Cobras, Absolutely brilliant. But just back in those early days as well, you've mentioned your dad and your brother, but who else really stood out to you in terms of cricketers maybe? Who did you look up to and help influence your game as a batsman?
As a kid, Sachin, watching him play, obviously he was 16 when he started playing, I think, as everyone around the world.
Yeah, great
I loved
choice.
watching him bat. Oh, I love watching him bat because he was obviously young. Everyone wanted to be, you go through a phase where everyone wanted to be a certain player. South Africa didn't have cricket that's been played on TV, like international cricket. We had our domestic cricket which we watched basically. I can't even remember who the guys were that played back then or that I watched. But internationally was Sachin, and everyone wanted to be Sachin. Growing up, you see young guys, and especially like I come from a small colored community, like obviously in Cape Town. There's about 4,000 people in the community there. So then you see people that relate to you. You see a guy like Joshua Gibbs, 16 years old, play rugby, play cricket, not professionally, but like yeah, first class levels. That's someone that you can aspire to.
Yeah.
And it's lots of names. I always stole something from someone that I've watched, technique wise, or how they portray themselves in all forms of life. It doesn't matter if it's rugby, cricket. I've played every types of sport that you can get. With soccer in the streets, we played rugby at school. I did athletics, but cricket was always the first love. So yeah, the icons of people that I looked up to back then was say Sachin, Herschel, Jacques Callis, um, Van Lara. I met Vivian Riches. I'll tell you a story. Like it's scary. I played in the CPL, my first year in the CPL, in the Caribbean Premier League.
Yeah.
I can't remember when it was.
2014.
Obviously, after the game,
2014 that was. I remember that. I watched it. Yeah.
So I get there. Matt Maynard was the coach of the Titans, and obviously someone got injured, and he phoned, "H, do you want to come?" So, he was asking me silly questions here. So I sorted my visa and everything out. Left. We didn't even speak about a contract. I said, "Listen, I'm coming," because I was going to be there for half the tournament, then go come back home, whatever it is. But just the opportunity to go play there. So yeah, I met after a game somewhere. It's a party festival, and we played in some kits, and all the teams are there basically because it's a massive hotel, and over the week you base there for a week, but all the teams fly in, play, leave like that. So this one night I met first Sylvain Richards, and I met him.
Wow.
Walked straight up to him just to introduce myself. Hello, sir. And he did. I said, "Oh, no, you are, man. You can play." And he said, "I can play." Look, I couldn't speak after that. And like,
Wow.
oh, I couldn't speak after that. And then in the same night, I met all those West Indian legends. Unbelievable. We went to Trinidad a week after that. I met Brian Lara. We still speak today. Unbelievable. Such a cool, down to earth human being. And he said, "I love the way you bat." And someone of that caliber, of that stature, comes up and says, "Listen, I like the way you play." I was speechless. I couldn't. I was like, "Yo, it's unbelievable." It's so much like the people that you meet. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
Well, that is an incredible story. And in terms of Brian Lara, now I'm from Warwickshire, so Brian Lara is an absolute legend in my neck of the woods.
Yeah.
What was your favourite ever knock from Brian Lara? Brian Charles Lara, the seventh leading Test run scorer of all time.
Oh, there's been so many. Like obviously with lockdown here in South Africa, we watched all the games in the archives. The one that came up where he was there's a lot of politics in the Caribbean with all different islands and all that. And
Yep.
he was captain and he was under pressure. And I think it was in Trinidad, I think it was in Trinidad or Jamaica where he won the test match against Australia.
That's
Just
Barbados.
showed
That's Barbados, 1999.
sorry,
Yeah.
Barbados. Yeah, sorry, Barbados. And the amount of pressure that he was under, it's unbelievable. And I've played in the Caribbean and I know what it's about, like the pressure, the island pressure, political island pressure that's going on there, and for him to have played that knock with all the pressure that's been put on him, that was probably my favorite of the course of they're all different types of pressure. Like all his innings is basically I loved, it's probably the one guy in the world playing in a team that is not so good but can win a game by himself. I don't
Yeah.
think there's we talk about AB de Villiers. AB de Villiers is unbelievable, superstar. Virat Kohli is a superstar. But if you look at the guys around him, there's a lot of great world-class players. And I think in that time, they've had a great bowling attack, but all the guys were on the down low, if you can call it that, in the Caribbean or in the West Indies team. And the batsman they had, Shiv Chanderpaul, that wasn't the great Shiv Chanderpaul then. He was
Hmm.
still building, So everything was Brian Lara. You've got to score runs, And for me, that was also it was a massive drive because I can almost relate back to the way I played club cricket for my club in Pernille, which is in Stellenbosch, just outside Stellenbosch. I was 16 and I was the main batsman there, but I loved it, because we didn't have a good batting team. But all the onus and all the pressure was on me to perform, and it helped me obviously going forward into my professional career as well.
Yeah,
So
I was
a
going to
lot
say
of
that
yeah, no,
definitely.
it's unbelievable just to have that extra pressure on you, where people look up to you, listen, you need to. And it's just nice. Like obviously from a young age, if you're able to do it, you'll be able to do it more consistently. I think that is what made Brian Lara the person that he is, or the player that he was. It's unbelievable. I remember a clip as well where Danish Canaria said, "Listen, you can't hit me again," and he went for 24, 28, something like that. He went over. It's, most of the games that I've watched is unbelievable. It's just so easy. The wickets that they played in wasn't that easy as well. It was, yeah.
Well, yeah, a great choice. Yeah, that innings you referred to earlier, the 153 not out against Australia, the one wicket victory.
Yeah.
By Wisden, that was ranked as the second best performance by a batsman of all time. It was absolutely incredible. Yeah, great choice. Really was. But now coming back to you, obviously, Henry, because you've had an excellent career as well. Let's not take away from your career. Let's start all the way back with your first game for the Cobras. So you'd worked your way up in semi-pro cricket for Bolland, and then you moved to the Cape Cobras. Okay, so what do you remember, first of all, about your debut, and how were you feeling? How momentous of an occasion was that for you to make the step up into professional cricket?
Yeah, before the franchise system, we had 11 provinces, which was the smaller units, we can call it, because like you said, came from Boland. I started my professional career in 2000, and then 2004, the franchise system started in South Africa, where we knew out of 11 teams, professional teams, there's only going to be 16. So you had to, it was going to be tough because a lot of guys lost jobs or like lost the professional contract because there's only that amount of guys that could have been contracted. And my last year for Boland, I had good, decent season. And I think what made the difference was I got 120. We had Boland had to get 250 to win. It's because I got 124 not out, and the guy that second I scored 36 or something like that. So that season obviously helped me a lot, getting signed for like basically a franchise contract. And for the Cobras, it was a slow-ish start because like there's only 6 teams in South Africa out of 11 in the previous years. So and we had Joshua Gibbs, we had Smith, all the guys playing for the Cobras, which was JP Germany. We had the whole international batting lineup there. So I knew, look, it's not going to be a walk in the park. If I had to get into that team, I had to nudge down, score a lot of runs in the amateur team for Boland because I was affiliated to Boland still. And yeah, I did put in the numbers there, and I just knew that I had to make sure, like, if I get a chance, that I'm ready for it. Even though you play 1 or 2 games, and next week the international guys come back, and you're out of the team. And for me, it was part of the package. You can't just say, listen, I need to play because I got dance last week. And it just makes you more determined to
Yeah,
perform.
of course, definitely. And you've mentioned those international players. You've mentioned Gibbs, Smith, Duminy, who obviously went on to be a fantastic asset for South Africa. How much did you
Yeah.
learn from being surrounded by them? How much did you actually absorb in terms of cricketing knowledge and information?
Like I said, I used to take a lot from all different types of players, with Herschel, the carefree attitude, which that's basically how I also play. It's a carefree attitude. Not that you don't think you have a certain plan, but you back yourself whatever plan you're gonna try to execute. A guy like Graham, very stern, very hard, mentally probably one of the strongest players that I've played with. Ashwell Prince, probably the most determined player that I've ever played with. I enjoyed his captaincy. I remember I was under pressure for my spot in the team, and he was captain, and we went to the Lions. And on the bus, we were driving the bus, and well, he didn't say directly that, listen here, this is your last chance, or whatever. But besides that, I knew I could feel that he backed me in in my ability or whatever it is, and then I was man of the match in the following game. But just that feeling that he gave me, the surety that he gave me, listen, I've got you. That helped a lot. And just for the person, he's very, like I said, very, very determined. I really enjoyed his way of captaincy, very stern, very hard, very tough. And yeah, this is the support that you get, you got from him, bro. Yeah, so the guys like that, bowlers, Alan Dawson, Shaw Willoughby, Shaw Langeveld, Chiefs. That's the only national team that I played with. Yeah, so it was always nice, learning from them. So and it's so much easier when you know, listen, yeah, if you want to play international cricket one day, these are certain things that you need to get into your way of doing. And like I said, I took a lot of things from everyone. I don't have like I said, I have a lot of guys that I admired in my cricket career, but I didn't have like an idol. Like I'm basing myself just on you. I took a lot from everyone and from doesn't matter who you are. Even now, to today, I tell a lot of the younger guys, listen, yeah, in this game, you're gonna think you're doing the thing like things right. You won't be able to do all everything. If you look at someone, see what is making someone else more successful than what you are, because it's always going to be someone else, and then you try something different, see if that um, trait that the other person has can fall into you as well and make you better. Not only as a cricketer, but as a human being as well. So yeah, we're in a learning process your whole career, basically, in your whole life. So whatever you can steal from someone else, by all means, do it if it's gonna make you improve.
Yeah, definitely. And that's great advice for, as you said, not just cricket, but in life in general. Of course, you're
Yeah,
forever learning. That's the brilliance of life, isn't it, realistically? And especially
yeah,
in the world of
I do.
sport. If you can draw upon all of this experience and wealth of knowledge, you're going to become a far better player. So for any young cricketers out there, please take that on board. That is a fantastic piece of advice for anyone potentially just starting their cricketing journey, really. And I also like the attitude that you just had then, where you say that you draw from all different sorts of cricketers. Now, I'm very much the same. Obviously, nowhere near the skill set, nowhere near that level. Very much a village cricketer at best, if you could even describe me as that. But yeah, I have that similar mentality that you can learn a
Yeah,
lot from different kinds of people. And I'm a spinner. Okay, you wouldn't know that, Henry.
yeah,
But for example, looking at flights, a great one in terms of that would be Graham Swan, for example. You look at Murali in terms of the
yeah.
setup, and you can learn
Mm,
so much by watching a variety of players. So that's
definitely.
fantastic advice.
Yeah.
Really is. Love
No,
that attitude.
definitely. Yeah.
Definitely love that.
Yeah.
But yes, talking of South African domestic cricket as well. Now to talk about the team that you're most well known for. It's the team that I've been watching you for years now, for a good 5, maybe even 6 years now, and that is the
Yeah.
Momentum Multiply Titans. Okay, a very very strong, the powerhouse almost of South African cricket nowadays. What did you remember most about your debut for the Titans, and how did the move actually come about from the Cape to Centurion?
Yeah. Yeah, starting off, I was in the Western Cape, obviously Boland and the Cobras for 10 years, and I got to a stage where I almost felt like my cricket is stagnating. I had a couple of great years at the back end of my career at the Cobras, leading around scorer, all that, playing SAA and everything, but I just felt like I need a new challenge. Myself, we were pregnant with our first child back then as well, and I said, listen, yeah, okay. We had some contract negotiations. They counted the one that I got given here at the Titans, and I had to make a tough decision. Like either you stay in your comfort zone, which it was. Cape Town's your comfort zone. It's an awesome place to be. The environment. Or go to Durban where it's lovely by the beach, warm weather, or you go to the Titans, where you're gonna have to work when you're there. You're gonna have to. It's a change of lifestyle, a change of scenery, it's a change of a lot of things. And I spoke to my late dad then, and I said, listen, this is what it is. And his advice to me was, listen, what do you want to do? I said, well, I still have aspirations playing for South Africa. I still want to improve in my cricketing career. And I said, well, then there's only one choice, And I knew at the back of my head that the Titans was the only place that I can go to go challenge myself and to become better. And
Yeah.
it was the best move I could have ever made, And originally the plan, I remember Shukri Conrad came to me and said, listen, yeah, just go for 2 years and you come back. And that was the plan. I'm going into my 11th year in Pretoria. So it was an unbelievable move, I've changed so many things about myself. The best thing also is myself in my relationship with my wife, we grew a lot because you're on your own.
Yeah.
That's one thing in South Africa, especially in the colored community where I'm from, is you're very family orientated. So I want to go out. I go to my mom. I listen, mom, can you look after the kids? Yes. And you go. Because you're getting spoiled and because everyone's always there, you know.
Yeah.
And when you moved up here, we were all by ourselves. And the only thing that we could have done was grow together, and was the best thing we could have ever done. You know, as a couple, we grew a lot. We have two beautiful daughters. They're not so young. They're 9, 7. They're running us around here. But that was the best. You know, my career improved. I grew as a person, and I played for South Africa. So yeah, like I said, it's the best move I could have ever made.
Well, obviously that's lovely to hear. That's music to my ears as a Titans fan. But with regards to that, you have just touched upon South Africa, so let's talk about that because you were a relatively late debutant in terms of age. I mean, obviously you got players coming
Yeah.
through like Yanaman Milan, Carver Rayner nowadays who are early 20s, for example. So first of all, what do you remember most about your debut, and how momentous of an occasion was that for you to finally represent your country after so long?
Yeah, yeah. I can remember we were obviously with the Champions League. I've played in 3 Champions League tournaments, the T20 tournaments.
Yep.
I'm in the first highest run scorer in Champions League history, which is great. Yeah. uh, and before that, I've had 2 or 3 unbelievable years in white ball formats. You know, for in domestic cricket, I've been leading run scorer. I've been very consistent, and I've never really thought of it. Obviously, you used to still to the back of your head. I think I was 32, 33, and I was thinking, okay, are you too old to play for South Africa? But I said, I didn't really think about it. Like, the questions were there, but I always hope, listen here, maybe I'm in great form. If it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now. And then Russell Domingo got me at the airport and said, listen here, because I think that New Zealand was gonna come here in about 3 weeks' time, and said, listen, just be ready. So, but I knew almost a month before that I was gonna play. But I was excited, and yeah, we played in Champions League at that tournament was here in South Africa, and I was doing very, very well, you know. So I was ready. I was in very, very good form. And I was looking forward to it. The debut was unbelievable. We played in Durban. I got a start. I got 20. And then I got 250s in a row. I was man of the series in my first series for South Africa, which was stuff that dreams are made of, you know. It was probably my proudest moment, especially the last game where myself, Gaston Antong, we grew up together basically, playing Boland, school cricket and all that. And myself and him basically won the game for the team. We had a 90 or 100 run partnership for the third wicket in PE, and that was unbelievable. You know, obviously winning a game for your country and being two very good friends growing up together in cricket terms. So yeah, that was very, very nice. Proper.
Well, I bet it was, and yeah, good memory as well. They were 250 plus scores. She got 55 and a 68. Fantastic innings there in East London, in Buffalo Park, and then the next one was in PE,
Yeah.
St George's Park. But then after that, there was a drop. Okay, from the 50s, it went to 7-1-7-0-0-3. What do you think actually caused that, or do you think it was just rub of the green, for example? Was it just bad luck, technique? What do you think actually led to that decline for South Africa?
Look, obviously, I just played T20 cricket basically, nah? And the next series was Pakistan. We had 2 games, so it's only 2 innings that you play. And then
Yeah,
in the winter, we went to Sri Lanka. So you prepare. I was probably the fittest that I've ever been in my whole career. So I felt I was prepared properly. You know, so you go to Sri Lanka, you play. You know the 3 games that you're gonna play. But as I got there, I felt something was missing. I hit a lot of balls indoors in South Africa, basically, which was quick. It's just, indoors are always quick. It's nice to better. And then you get there and you just feel out of sorts because I haven't played a game in 3 months. You know, I prefer or any competitive game. So for me, I was underprepared for the match. I didn't have any match practice. I didn't play. I just went straight into international, not a club game. I went straight into international. So in
well,
hindsight, looking back, I should have probably just gone to England for a month. You know, sign a contract for a month, play club cricket or whatever format of cricket it is, just to get the match practice. And like I said, when I got there, I felt out of sorts. I wasn't match fit, and I didn't get runs in the 3 games. We came back. And then it was just I was doing very well domestic cricket, but just then the rub of the green things didn't happen. You go in. I went to Dubai from Champions League. I was a leading run scorer. I was in India, yes, for the title
yeah,
Champions League. I got 204 games, and we went to, not straight after, like a month after that, we went to Dubai to play Pakistan. And I remember the first game, I'm an opening batsman, and then I said, okay, I'm going to bat three. I'm so now you're waiting, keep your pads on. And I went in the third last over because I was just pushed down the order a little bit. I went in, and I knew, okay, I had to go in to slog basically from ball one, and I wasn't happy. I was frustrated because I was pushed down the order, which obviously I wasn't comfortable with, to be honest. And it didn't work.
Mm.
Coming back, I had four for the national team, also T20 games. It's a different ball game. You don't, not the, you can call it, yeah. Mentally, I wasn't enjoying it. I was batting out of place. Yeah, I was batting out of place, obviously. But looking back, I could have done things different. Things didn't happen, which I accepted, and it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Um, if I could go back, I would have gone to England. I would have had match practice, and it would have been a different ball game. I probably would have played for South Africa for another 3, 4 more years. But yeah, that's how cricket goes. International cricket is there's no guarantees. Not guaranteed you're going to get um, 10 opportunities. You're going to get 2 or 3 chances, and then you're gone because there is another guy
Yeah.
that is next in line that wants to play and that is performing or whatever it is. So, yeah, I'm not. Look, I would have loved to play more, but it's a learning curve, something that I can help younger cricketers to play better, basically.
Definitely. And yeah, of course, it is disappointing, but as you said, it is the rub of the green. And cricket,
Yeah,
especially at the top level, is absolutely brutal, cutthroat. It's as
it
simple
is.
as that. Yeah, it is. I mean, you can see it with England at the moment. Joe Denley, he was averaging 29 in tests and he got dropped. So, yeah, he
Yeah,
wasn't even doing too badly. But that is just how Test cricket goes, and cricket in general,
it is.
really, at the top level.
And he's gonna struggle to get back in the team. I played with Vinci at the Par Rocks. Unbelievable cricketer, and for him, obviously, he didn't have the start to his domestic that everybody's like. And obviously, everyone in the world, wherever he plays, can see that this kid can play. But like you say, international cricket is tough. If you're not on the button and the demand for success is so high that you can't go into it slowly. There's no one is guaranteed you're gonna get 5 games. There's no guarantee there. So that's the tough and the harsh part of it.
Yeah, of course. And well, even that being said, you've still played far more T20 internationals than I ever will, Henry, and most other players in South Africa. It's been an absolute. I mean, that is a privilege to play for your country, and you represented them, got 250 plus scores. Either way, I think you should be immensely proud of that. To be honest, it's something that thousands,
Yeah.
if not hundreds of thousands of people will never even achieve. So yeah, I'm glad that you don't feel too many regrets about that at all, because you shouldn't. But with regards to
No.
that, we have just spoken about the mental aspect, okay? Because there is that constant feeling that, your place is never secure, really. Unless you're like the real
Yeah.
superstars, unless you're the Kohlis, the Smiths of the world, you're never really able to feel comfortable in a cricketing lineup. So, how do you personally deal with those pressures? How do you maintain an even keel through the ups and downs of cricket?
Yeah. Obviously, it's hard work. In all forms. I think a lot of the times now I've started over. I studied counselling and communication just because of that because I went through it. Where you perform to a certain extent, you do very well, and then you go through a patch where, like you said, international cricket, if you go through a patch for 5 games, you might not ever get back into it again. Just that mental aspect we know, and I think in sports, especially specifically international sports, if you're a young kid, you come through, you're very successful in the beginning of your career, and you start playing international cricket and you struggle, it's a lot tougher because you haven't learned, you don't know who you are as an individual, as a human being. So the key thing is, if you look at the best people, the best players in the world, they understand the game, they understand themselves as well. Doesn't matter if you understand your game. If you do not understand, if you don't know you as a human being, you're going to struggle to get back into form or into a comfortable space doing call that. Because in any sport, look, it eats at you if things are not going well. And if you don't know how to handle yourself, how to handle the pressures that's being thrown or at you, you're going to struggle. So for me, what helped a lot early on in my career was I accepted failure. Not that you accept mediocrity, you have to accept failure because in most sports you fail a lot more than what you succeed in. So, and a lot of the times, especially if you look at schools, the big sporting schools, it's all about winning, winning, winning. And a lot of the guys, you think, okay, this guy put England under 19, he plays Africa under 19, he disappeared in 2 years' time. Where? How? It's only because of the mental aspect. It's not that you lose the love of the game. You're always going to love the sport that you're in. If you get international colors at school level, because you're good and you love the sport, why do a lot of younger guys fall away in that 2 year period after school is because they don't know how to handle failure.
Mm.
You have to accept failure, and the quickest way to overcome something is to accept it first. You have to accept it. If you don't accept failure, then you don't see the problem, or the
Yeah,
issue,
of
because then
course.
you will become an issue. Yeah, for me, that is the biggest thing in mental process where you know, look, yeah, I'm gonna fail. I'm gonna hit a bad shot. I'm gonna get a duck or two or three or four. I'm gonna drop catches. That's part of a package is how you come back. You know, um, like I say, you must find something that works for you and gonna make you come back stronger.
Definitely. And what personally drives you then? Because obviously, as an opening batsman in particular, it is tough. Obviously, you're going to have those days where you feel as though you've let the
Yeah.
entire side down if you get a low score. So how do you personally bounce back? So let's say you got, I don't know, a golden duck followed by a low score of 3 or 4 or 5. How do you then kind
Yeah.
of pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and go, next game, I'm going to score 30 plus or 50 plus?
And like you said, the next game I'm gonna score this. I always believe if when I fail for 2 3 games, I know a big score is around the corner, and you have to trust yourself. You have to trust in your ability, and you have to trust in your processes. It's pointless. You've been playing for 20 years, and you go and try to change something. When you're young in your career, I'm all for change. Change is always good, but if you find something that works for you, then you gotta stick to it.
Hmm.
Even if it doesn't work for you for 3 4 5 games, it just shows you if you trust it. If you don't trust in your ability, in the next after that 5 games, you're gonna try something different, but you're gonna have to get used to it again. So if that period of failure comes again, you gotta which one are you gonna trust? What process? The one that got you there for in the last 10 years, or the new one? Or then you're gonna get it's like a golf swing, then you get caught in between. So for me, it's you trust in your processes, you trust yourself, and that's belief. With that, the belief comes as well. Your process, your trust, your hard work that you put in, and believe that you will get runs the next day or the next game. And even if you do not get runs the next game, there is a next game again. So you just
Of
gotta
course.
keep on believing. Do your things, your basic things that works for you, that gets you into your zone or what makes you comfortable. It puts you into a good space, even if it is spend time somewhere else or whatever that works for you. Not that works for me, that works for you. You need to find something that works for you that gets you into a good space. And that's how you get out of your slump quicker.
Yeah, and that's some very, very good advice again. Of course, for any young cricketers, and it's that ability to bounce back up that really defines the cricketer at the end of the day, isn't it? Realistically, especially as a batsman, because you do face some bowlers who just have the wood over you. And actually, this kind of relates to my next question, really,
100%.
Henry. This relates to my next question. Have you ever felt that a bowler has just an absolute threat towards you? Have you ever felt a bowler has kept you up at night and made you really think, oh, okay, he could get me the next day?
Yeah.
Have you?
There's one season where Andrew Birch, I don't know if you know Andrew, he played for the Warriors.
He's a legend,
And
isn't he? He
every
is.
format that
Yeah.
we played, one day cricket, T20, 4 day cricket, he got me out in all the games that we played against him
Wow.
in that season. And it doesn't matter what I did. I remember by the fourth innings we played against him, the first ball, I left, the second ball said I ran at him and it didn't work. And it was like it was one of those seasons it happened. And obviously, bowlers are, no, you're my bunny, you this and you that. And then if you let it get to you, it will become a thing. And he was obviously chuffed because he got me out in every instance played against him in that year. And he hasn't got me out after that because I told, listen here, next year we coming back again for it's a different time, different year. And since then, he's been so under pressure when he's bowled to me because I believe, it's a phase. Like I said, you have to accept it's one of those things. It's gonna happen. And look, in that 7 innings that we played against them, I tried everything. My preparation was the same, the same preparation, but harder and tougher and longer, just to just for him not to get me out. But it doesn't matter what you do; it just happens. And I knew, like I said, I accepted failure quickly. I accepted that things like that does happen. And got over it, basically. I
Yeah.
gave him a season.
Well, yeah, talking of Andrew Birch, I think he was the
Yeah,
leading wicket taker in the Ram Slam. I'm pretty sure he was in terms of wickets taken.
probably.
Well, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising, would it?
He's probably up there. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he was a brilliant
No,
bowler.
very skillful bowler. Unbelievably skillful. Yeah. Underrated because obviously he's in the very same mold or same type of bowler as Vernon Philander, so it's quite tough. Maybe in a different lifetime he would have played for South Africa. No,
Yeah,
it's quite tough. It's the same as like Martin van Jaarsveld. He would have played a lot more international if Jacques Callis wasn't there. You understand? So it's tough. Because above the green at the end of the day.
yeah, exactly. And then you got the wood over him, which is obviously fantastic. But yeah,
Yeah,
he was a great bowler, Andrew Birch. Of course, he was always in the wickets for the
definitely.
Warriors, always.
Mm.
But yeah, moving on from, let's go on from the South African scene now, because we've kept on mentioning the CPL. Mentioned the CPL earlier, the Champions League T20. Also
Yeah.
played in the Abu Dhabi T20 in 2018. So you've obviously got a wealth of experience in T20 cricket. Which tournament or franchise in particular has really left the biggest imprint on you as a cricketer?
Jeepers. Obviously, like with the titles, you can't take away what we've achieved over the last decade, basically, in South
Of
African
course,
cricket.
yeah.
You know, in the Caribbean with this and Noosa Zooks, it was just the experience of playing in the Caribbean. I've always wanted to go there my whole life, my whole career. I was dreaming of playing in the Caribbean, and the experience there is unbelievable because it's almost like there's no pressure on you. Just go out there and play. You know, you can walk in the streets and people know you. They know they're cricketers. Doesn't matter where you come from. They know who you are. But they won't be like in India where you can't go outside. In St. Lucia, I was walking around at night, coming from a restaurant, walking down to the hotel with carefree. You know, the people's unbelievable people that's there. So that experience of the way they played with the music, the party atmosphere was unbelievable. You know. The last 2 years with the Power Rocks was unbelievable because I'm
Mm,
from that area, from the Boland area. And the way we played cricket, the first year we were unlucky because our semi-final rained out and there wasn't a reserve day. And just as we got our peak, basically. And then last year was unbelievable. The way we played,
yes, it was.
like I said, I'm from that area, and the impact that you have on the people there, you could see all our games was sold out crowds, you know. And the impact that we've had on the play on the community was unbelievable, you know, because look, they don't have a lot of TV games, you can call it that, in that area because it's only 16, you know. But the passion that the people have for cricket, support that we got, me being from that area, because I can relate to what they go through, you know, it was unbelievable. That was probably emotionally the best experience because it's something that you relate to. I made my debut for Boland in 2000. I played in my whole career. My whole family was there. My in-laws were there. Friends that I grew up with. Um, everyone everyone was supporting us. You know, so that was great fun.
I'm glad you
So
mentioned that.
it's different impacts that you've had. It's different impacts and people here in Pretoria, the impacts that you have. So like I say, it's different impacts. I come from the Cape to Pretoria. The people basically they're unbelievable. They are passionate about the sports everywhere, but it's a different way of passion. If you can call it that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no,
Mm.
that's fair enough. And as I said, I'm really glad that you mentioned that the 2019 Mzonsi Super League final. Brilliant atmosphere at Boland Park, wasn't it? I think it was
Unbelievable. Yeah.
10,000 capacity crowd. And yeah, you
Capacity
turned up.
crowd.
You turned up on that day, didn't you, Henry? 77 not out. What was it? 48 balls as well. Got them the win, which was
Something like
absolutely
that. Yeah.
amazing. How satisfying was that then personally in front of your home crowd, in front of your family? How satisfying was that match winning knock?
You know, it was unbelievable, and especially being against the Spartans, which is like the Titans team as well. You
Yeah,
know? So
point 2.0.
it was, yeah, it was my home team against my home team at my home ground. So I had the best of everything basically. No, look, I was I had a very good tournament. All the games, I think I've got under 10 in two occasions. I was against the Jolly Stars. All the other games I got starts, and it was almost frustrating because I had starts, but I didn't kick on in most of the games, which was like I said, was very frustrating. But like a day before the final, we went to a wine farm. me, my missus, and the kids. And I could just, I felt it. I told her, listen, just watch tomorrow. I'm going to win the game. Doesn't matter how, I'm going to win the game for the team. I just could feel, it's almost like it's faith, that it had to happen that way, me being from there and winning the game for the team. So yeah, the preparation was, my preparation is I do my fielding drills, I warm up, and I go get someone to throw balls to me, which is like 2, 3 overs, and then I'm done. That's my preparation for most formats. So I was happy. I was very comfortable in the preparation. I was very comfortable where we were at as a team. I think we had all bases covered. The team was very well led by Faf. We had great wealth of experience. We had excitement. We had youth. We had everything, And then obviously playing with the Spartans, they came there the day before I saw them because I hit a couple of balls. They came on the bus to hit some balls as well, and they were all my mates. Bausch got out of the bus first. Manda, our coach now, AB and them, and TNS and all of them, and I greeted them because they my teammates, they're friends of mine. And they're like, yeah, no, tomorrow you gotta no, you guys are gonna get hiring tomorrow. So yeah, it was great fun. Like I said, it was almost like while I was betting, something else driving me all the time, and I just knew from ball one that I knew. Obviously, we both didn't get a lot, and I knew from ball one we're gonna cruise this game basically.
Well, yeah, almost written, isn't it? Realistically, I mean, it was the hometown hero, I suppose, in that regard, and it was an incredible knock. I mean, I remember watching it here. It's absolutely incredible. Great atmosphere, great noise. Obviously, the home crowd won. So yeah, fantastic game that, and a great precedent for the Mzansi Super League as well. It's a brilliant tournament. So fantastic for the future of South African cricket as well. Lots of great young players on show as well for your team as well. And Carl Verreynne, he's a fantastic young player, isn't he?
Yeah, very, very good. There's a couple, if you look at him, he came into the team, but just the way he goes about his things as well, very, very calm, very shy as well, but very good cricketer. He's a good thinking, mature cricketer. I think he can bat in all different game situations, which he showed by him and Sibonelo Mokanya. He plays for us now, the guy we've signed in just now as well, also young player. Those two, probably the young pups in the team, we were out of a game in Joburg and they basically won the game by themselves. It just shows a lot, obviously, like you say, the talent that we have here. And we almost spoiled it, but it's just the way of how we're going to channel them going forward. It's pointless you just throw someone to the wolves and say, okay, you must do this, you must do that. So it's all how you're going to manage it, how you're going to put them into the right path to be more successful.
Definitely. And when you're surrounded by those young guns, I mean, you're going to be surrounded by a lot of young players at the Titans this season as well.
Yeah.
How do you kind of influence their journey then? What advice do you give them to potentially the guys who are maybe in their first or second year of cricket? They're just coming through the ranks. What advice do you give them in their early journey?
For me, it's always like I look back to how I was at that age. When I grew up, obviously, when I started playing, you didn't have a voice. Basically, you were there to listen and to do. Like now, it's obviously you can see a lot of young guys. They still have the respect, but obviously for me, it's giving them a voice because if I can't say something, then it's gonna take a knock with my confidence. For them, is to be themselves, trying to be themselves. Obviously, know where you are by not being too cocky or stepping out of line, disrespecting your environment, not me, but the environment that you're in. Because with us, we have an unbelievable culture at the Titans, and I think that has made us successful as well. Because you respect the environment, you respect the people in the environment. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how many years you've played. So that respect level is there as well. And for me, my job here is almost at the Titans because looking at the young, some of the guys, you think that you're confident, but if a slump comes, like we spoke about earlier, the confidence goes quickly. And most of the guys are fairly open. For me, just to help them, adding with that, trusting themselves, trying to fast track their career, and not for them to take 5 years in their career to find themselves. So if I can help them fast track career by a year or 2 or 3, then they will become more mature quicker. I think they will become better cricketers quicker instead of waiting 5 years to find themselves first. So that is my main purpose here at the Titans. Obviously, still to play. I'm just playing white ball cricket just to win games for the Titans, but mainly to mentor and guide our younger players because we've got an abundance of talent. It's scary actually. but it's just the way how they're gonna go about it and how they can find themselves fairly early to play the netball. The goal is obviously to win games for Titans, but also to play international cricket.
Yes,
Because
of
we all
course.
have the ability. It's all up here. It's all mental. How you can get there, how you can be consistent. So for me, obviously, like I said, I've played for a long time. I can help them with those shortcuts. Good short, not easy shortcuts to not take 5 years.
Yeah.
To become more consistent in your ways of doing things.
Yeah, definitely. It's not not a shortcut to success, but it's almost like an
Yeah,
aid or a stepping stone, isn't it, realistically, to help
yeah,
them
yeah,
on their path. It's funny that you mentioned that because I had Tony DeZorzi on the podcast, obviously an ex-teammate of yours now. He's now moved,
yeah.
unfortunately. But he also mentioned about that respectful kind of demeanour at the Titans. There is that almost real team mindset, considering that you've got these massive star players, you've got experienced players such as yourself,
Mm,
Henry. It must be a wonderful
yeah.
environment for any young players coming through. So do you think that, let's make this in terms of South Africa now, do you think that's something that South Africa also need to look upon heading into the future? They've got some great young players coming through. Do you
Mm.
think they need a similar team dynamic? And if so, how do they achieve that?
Yeah, well, look, like I said, if you get into an environment like this, like we had, where you're all basically seen as you're all equal, there's no superstars yet. I think then the respect goes both ways. Like the
Yeah,
younger guy can respect the older guy, and the older guy can respect the younger guy as well. And at the end of the day, also, if you come into an environment, you also need to, you can't expect these things for you to fall into your lap. You got to earn that respect. So you got to walk like a path to show. Look here, I'm here because of obviously the reason why you're here is because you're good enough. That's why you signed. That's why you professional cricketer. But there's a lot of learning that needs to get done. I'm not saying you got to just say okay, yeah, yes sir, no sir. Life doesn't work like that. You also got to have your input. But nowadays you need to be not to be careful, but you need to know as well. You can't just step out of line too easy or too quickly. So that respect is always here at the Titans. I think, like I said, with the South African, it's a different environment because you have different cultures coming into one team from different franchise teams as well. Not all the franchises have the same way of thinking. I think in the ideal world, you would want to be like in New Zealand, where all the New Zealand rugby, not cricket, where all the rugby teams play the same brand of cricket. Where in South Africa, all the different sport codes and provinces and state sides play different brand of sport, basically. So it's always tough to pick someone and try to fit them into your environment. So if you have it's almost a tough thing, because if you get into your international team, you gotta mold a culture again where, like I say, New Zealand is easy because they all do the same thing exactly the same. Where in the national team here in South Africa is you gotta build something again because obviously we've lost a lot of senior players. There's a lot of young blood coming in, which is good. It's exciting, you know. So if you have a common goal, you got to know what the common goal is, what you stand for, who you are as a brand or as a team. I think then it'll be slightly easier. It's still going to be a work in progress, but yeah, it's going to be slightly easier. And you also need to expect it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a year or two, or maybe 3 years, but you got to be patient enough to wait for that period to kick in, and then it's easier if we have a brand or if you have a culture that is set, it's easy for someone that comes in just to fit into that culture. You understand? And that's why with us at the Titans, our culture has been the same for the last 10 years. So for a new kid that comes in, it's easy to fit in. If you don't want to fit in, you're gonna be gone. Because the culture is always the culture is bigger than you.
yeah.
What we stand for, the brand is bigger than any individual. Um, and if you don't accept it, you won't be here for long.
Well, that's a pretty blunt way of putting it, but yeah, I understand that. Of
Yeah,
course, you've got to buy into the team mentality and mindset, haven't you? Realistically, you've got to gel together,
yeah,
and that has what's made the Titans so successful. I mean, for anyone listening to the pod, just listen to all these trophies that they've won in the last 10 years. This is okay. So Sunfoil Series 2011, 2012 won. 2015-16 won. 2017-18 also won that one. Momentum One Day Cup, you won. Well, you shared the 2013-14 one, but I suppose that is
yeah.
still a victory. But don't worry, you won the next season, 2014-15, 2016-17, and 2018-19 won again. And then the CSA T20 Challenge, or what was the Ram Slam, 2011, 2015, 2016, and 2017-18. It's an immense amount of trophies, isn't it? Realistically, Henry. And looking back, do you realise just how momentous a time that was for the Titans as a franchise? Because it's an immensely successful period of their existence, really. How do you look back upon your moments with the Titans?
Cheapest, like reliving it. Sometimes you can't take it for granted because, like you say, it works. While you're mentioning it, I didn't even know. I was counting on my fingers. There's 12 trophies, in 10 years.
It is, yeah,
And like you say, it's a lot.
massive.
It is a lot, I think not that you take it for granted because you set standards, and for us, our goal every year is to win all 3 trophies. So we set fairly high standards, and it's almost like it's a over the last decade, it's been a proper honeymoon period, if you can call it that, because we've basically won almost everything. Every year we've had a trophy in the cabinet, So we've been spoiled. We've been spoiled with unbelievable squad of players. Our reserve, like we have a lot of international players, but even if those guys are not there, our squad on their own is fairly competitive. Obviously, like as you mentioned, with the amount of trophies that we won. So that is also, it's part of not the culture, but like the history that we had. It's successful. So if you come into any environment, you see it's been a successful environment, you want to be part of that history as well. And you want to obviously build your own part of that history. So you won't slack down. And for us, exactly the same thing. We have like you say, we have very, very young team now. Very inexperienced, but it's fun. It's exciting. You see the players that we got, the acquisitions, the players that we signed now is exciting players. So for now, we have a culture, but we can build it stronger. We can let them build their own footmarks as well, going forward. But still, striving to be the leading franchise in the country, and that's what we strive for. We want to be leading the pack every year, year in, year out. It's not going to happen all the time, but it's something. It's like you say, it's the standards that we set for ourselves, the goals that we set for ourselves. So that's what's going to push you to be better all the time. And yeah, for me, it's just trying because of the experience, just to guide them to see, look here, if you fall the rate a little bit, if you slack down, I'm there just to help you back on the path.
Well, yeah, exactly. And you know what? Thinking of that, obviously the trophy numbers, I've just realised in that decade or so, the Titans won pretty much 40% of every trophy available. They won 40% of the total number of trophies available. That's incredible, considering that there's 6 teams. Oh, yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? Realistically, and yeah, they've been extraordinarily successful. So, what do you think they'll achieve in 2020 to 21? Because as you said, it is very much a team in transition now. They've got some great young players coming through. You mentioned Sibanela Makanya. Tando Natini's one who really stands out for me as well. Really nice, electric, young, fast bowler. What do you see the Titans achieving? Maybe not in terms of trophies, but what would you like to see them achieve as a team in 2020 to 2021?
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, like for them is to find their own way as well. Building, because like I said, it's a very young team. You can be the start of building something special again. You can add on the success that they've had in the past. So for them, being a young group of players, I remember we were in also a transition in 2011 when Matt Maynard took over, and we lost 8 40 games. So that was tough. But the next year we started winning again. So you must be prepared as well to go through a struggle phase. But what can you learn from it? And for us, having all those young cricketers here, inexperienced cricketers, that is also a plus because obviously there shouldn't be any fear of failure. They're here to impress basically because you're young. You wanna say, listen, I belong here and I want to do something special. I think you can see the way the guys are training. They all have that determined mindset or about themselves and the way that they're going about the things now. It's exciting. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a lot of exciting names. There's so many young guys coming through. Dayan Khalim, he was our player of the season. For me, unbelievably exciting cricketer. He covers everything. He can bowl. He can bowl close to 140. He can bat. Very, very good all-rounder. Still got a lot to learn because he's young. He's very, very young still. So I think obviously last season gave him a lot of confidence, and for him is just to be better. I want to see guys come here to look to improve all the time. Look to win trophies. Their goal should be to win everything for the Titans and then become international players. When you win trophies, your international call-ups will come. That's the thing is the reason why the Titans have produced so many international cricketers over the last 10 years because, like you've mentioned, we've won over 40% of all the trophies that's on offer. You know, success follows success at the end of the day. So it's just a great environment to be in. Look, I know I can look back into my career. I've been part of something really, really special. When I left the Cobras, we had 3 years there. We won basically everything as well. And I've been here. We had 8 years. You can call it that. You know, where we basically won everything. You know, so no, it's special. It's something really nice to look back to one day.
It is. And of course, I wish the Titans best of luck in this season. As you said, some great young players. Obviously, you're going to be taking a mentor role as well. But I have to ask the question because approaching 40 now, Henry, will this be your final season in South
40 already.
African domestic?
40
Oh,
already.
you don't look it. But anyway, either way,
Thank you.
is this going to be your last season in South African domestic cricket?
Yeah, that's the plan. I stopped playing for the cricket. This is going to be my last season playing just white ball cricket. And then, like I said, I've opened my own business now in the HT19 counselling, which is sports counselling for all sports, but specifically cricket now. You know, and then doing mentorship, helping all those different types of sports, just getting mentally stronger, getting mentally more equipped. You know, I love cricket. Cricket's been my whole career. I'm busy with my level 3 coaching badges. Where I don't want to be a cricket coach. I want more like be a batting consultant to help everywhere. You know, if I want to be a full-time coach, I won't have time for counseling. It's going to be a different type of counseling. You know, but if I'm a sports a batting consultant, then I have more time for my sports counseling as well. Because look, we all grow up and you all say, okay, I want to be something. I want to be do this one day. And for me, I always said I want to be a cricketer one day. And halfway through my career, I thought there was something missing, and the missing link for me was to help people, and that's through my sports counseling with the career that I've had going into my 21st season now. So it's a 20 plus career in professional sports. So the experience that I've learned over the years, I can help any different. I can help people advance their sporting career quicker. You know, obviously with the counseling, help them to get themselves on the right path quicker. You know, so and I think obviously with COVID-19 now, you see you can do things so different. You know, you can do a counseling session over a Zoom call. You know, so it's perfect. It doesn't matter if I'm based in Pretoria. I can do it all. I can do it in England.
Yeah, like now.
Which is the fun
I
part.
suppose.
Which is the fun part. Yeah, yeah, no, 100%. So it's something that I'm really looking forward to. You know, obviously seeing the talent that comes through, seeing the sport effect that it has on everyone in everywhere, basically. You know, and what sport does. Yeah, I think I've been put on earth to help people, and this is through my counseling as well.
Well, that's a fantastic mindset. And of course, Henry, I wish you the very best of luck with that. Okay, with your counselling, I think you'll be a fantastic mentor. And in particular, as a consultant, that'd be fantastic. Look how well Jack Callis has done for South Africa. I think that'd be a very, very good career path. But it is, of course, going to be very sad to see you go because, as I said, I've been watching you for years at the Titans. And just for the people listening at home, listen to these stats, okay? 149 first-class matches, 7,761 runs, an average of 31.16 over 20 years. List A, 179 matches, 5,543 runs, an average of 32.99. And T20s, 183 matches, 3,865 runs, an average of 24, but it is T20. Fair enough. But how are you going to look back on your career, Henry, realistically? Because it's staggering numbers. I've already said it. You're an icon of South African domestic cricket. What legacy will Henry Davids have left on South African cricket?
Yeah, sure. I was on a show last year, and they asked me how many games have I played, like professional career games, and I think I said 300, 750. Like no, it's 500 and something. So sure, it's scary actually. You know, the amount for me, that in itself is unbelievable. Something I never dreamt of achieving one day, playing so many professional games. You know, and for me, something that I can look back to, what I would like people to see basically is the way I played my cricket. You know, I love the game. I play cricket with a smile on my face. I enjoy it. I think the only reason for you to be successful in life or in anything is if you enjoy something. I think that's how I played my cricket. Very instinctive. I express myself on the cricket field more often than not. Sometimes to my downfall, but it is what it is. You know, that's who I am. I wouldn't change it for the world. You know, there's a lot of times you think back, okay, if I'd done this differently, my stats would have been different, but I wouldn't have been the person that I am today. So yeah, for me, it's the way I played my cricket, how I portrayed myself. Um, I enjoyed myself. Basically, I'm 40 years old. I'm still playing. I'm still running around with the kids. So it's that determination, the hard work, the passion, and obviously the drive. I've got a massive drive because I've been told my whole career, you can't do this, you can't do that, and I've been proving a lot of people wrong all the time. So I've had a massive drive, and I think yeah, for people to appreciate a lot, because you need to appreciate what you've got, and if you don't appreciate it, it's not going to last. It's not going to be there for you. And I'm very blessed for where I am today, and for obviously how long I've played and where it's taken me all over the world. And there's too many things to mention, Otherwise, I'm going to be here the whole day with you. Yeah,
But yeah, it's been an incredible career. It really has. And when it does unfortunately come to an end, you look back on it with immense pride because you've left a real legacy. It's been absolutely fantastic. Um, can't really say much more about it, to be honest. It's going to be a big loss, of course, but stay in the game, of course, with your counselling. That'll be fantastic for the next
definitely.
generation.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, you can take the cricket away from the man, but you can't take the cricket out of the man, I suppose.
No, you can't.
But to wrap up the podcast now, Henry, we're going on to the quick fire question round. Now, this is a pretty new concept on the podcast, but let's just see how your mind works. Okay, it's not just cricket related questions. We've got some culture related ones. Apologies to any South African fans if I butcher the pronunciations. But are you ready to answer these quick fire questions, Mr. Henry Davids?
Let's see if I am.
Right, question number one. This is a very popular one. In Test match cricket, who would you rather face? Dale Steyn or Jimmy Anderson?
Rather face.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, that's a tough one. Because they're all unbelievable players. Who would I rather face of the two? Probably Dale Steyn, because I face him more than I face him.
Yeah, of course. Good question. Good question. Good answer to that one. Yeah, definitely. I mean, the toes might be sore afterwards if he nails one of the Yorkers, but
it is. And he probably mustn't make him upset, because then he just cranks it up 5 to 10 cases quicker.
Brilliant. Next question: Newlands or Supersport Park? It's a tough one.
Is it like both? Oh, but Supersport Park. It's an unbelievable wicket. And the ball
fair enough. I was going to say, yeah, good carry, good carry, nice place to bat and bowl, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right, next,
of
course, yeah. It's a great wicket, though, isn't it? Great fields, brilliantly maintained by the ground staff. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Next question: Mzansi Super League or Ram Slam T20?
Zanzi.
Really? Why would you say that?
There's the atmosphere, and we had international cricketers there as well, from all over the world. The quality of cricket felt not a lot, but this felt better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's the hype around it, because obviously it was something new. It was broadcast all over the world. We had people from all over the world, different cultures coming into one team. You being thrown where you've been bought. So it was just a new, exciting brand, basically. But the Mzansi was very, very, it was unbelievable.
Well, yeah, it's a fantastic tournament.
It's the closest to an international tournament that most domestic cricketers will be able to play.
Yeah, very good point. But I do miss the old Ram Slam when Kevin Peterson playing for the Dolphins. That was iconic.
Yeah, no, it was.
Definitely. Next question. This one is a tough one for any South African, I suppose. Kallis or Pollock?
Kallis.
That wasn't hard at all then. Fair enough. Not a bad question. Not a bad choice.
Kallis for me. Obviously, I haven't seen all the older cricketers like they compare themselves. I've heard of the Garth Sobers, that's been the best all-rounder ever. But if you look at Jacques Kallis, the runs, the wickets, the catches, for me personally, the best cricketer that we've ever had, basically. And I think someone that can top it is Stokes at the moment.
Interesting to see if he does. But yeah, Jacques Kallis, a top 5 Test run scorer as well. Incredible.
And the wickets as well. He could bowl 145 as well. That's scary.
Did you face Kallis in the CPL? Because he played for Trinidad and Tobago, didn't he?
Yes, he played. I remember he played for them. And I've actually won a game against Trinidad where he was bowling at the back end, at St. Lucia. Yeah, we had a couple of quick runs there off him as well.
Brilliant. Oh, right. Next question. This is a tough one for any batsman, I suppose. IPL or Big Bash?
IPL.
Interesting choice. If you could choose a franchise as well, who would it be?
In the IPL,
Hmm.
yeah, there's too many. Like I can think of KKR because I love Andre Russell. Mumbai Indians, Sachin, Pollard. I love Pollard as well. The way he just approaches the game. And then Chennai, with the success that they've had over the years, it's scary. It's something that you can almost compare to the Titans, if you can call it that, in
Suppose,
there.
yeah.
So yeah, so there's a couple. It's not one team. I don't watch a lot of cricket as well. If I hear someone's playing unbelievable knock, then I'll go watch it. I won't go sit in front of the TV all the time and watch them. And the thing is, for me, the biggest disappointment, if you can call it that, is probably Bangalore.
Good
You
choice.
know, with they're probably the biggest disappointment. With the teams that they've had over the years, I've played in Bangalore. That field is so small. The ball flies. It is. It's I can't believe they haven't won anything yet.
Yeah, neither can I. I've been supporting them for 13 seasons. Yeah, since 2008.
Yeah,
Watched them lose
yeah.
3 finals. Yeah.
Jesus. And they've always had all the biggest names in the world, and they just can't. But they only buy batters. They don't buy bowlers. It's their own fault.
We have this season though. We got Dale. We got Kane Richardson from Australia. Navdeep Saini. It could be our year this year. I still remain hopeful.
I hope it works. I must just keep winning the toss because if you bat first, you lose there.
Mm. Right. Anyway, moving on from RCB. Right. Well,
Yeah.
the next one actually features an RCB player, Steve Smith or Virat Kohli.
Oh, it's got to be Virat, eh?
Yeah, good choice. I'd agree. In terms of all three formats, I'd go Virat. If it was Test
All formats.
matches, I'd go Smith. I'd go Smith, Kohli, and the other two.
I almost think all formats. The way he plays, Smith is a bit dodgy against spin if it's ragging, and if you look at Kohli, he can play the short ball unbelievably well, probably the best in India, and then he can play spin as well. And the way he scores his runs, Steve Smith is almost like an enigma because the way he bats, it's an X factor,
Yeah,
and sometimes it's just way too easy for him as well. And if you look at consistency, they're both consistent, but I think Virat just has a little edge on him when it comes to consistency.
no, that's fair enough. That is fair enough. Good choice. I mean, but either a good choice in that one. Right, this next one.
Yeah,
Apologies if I butcher this. Bry, is that how you say it? Bry.
yeah.
Yes, good.
Your barbecue. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. We,
Yeah,
we just call it barbecue or BBQ if we're being
yeah,
lazy. But Bry at the beach or Bry in the bush.
yeah. Beach or both. Yeah,
We can't have
it's just so
both. We
different.
can't.
Oh, the beach.
Good choice, yeah, especially in nice weather in South African summer. That'd
Yeah,
be quite nice.
yeah.
And the final one,
No, it's
Henry,
unbelievable.
an interesting one. I think I know the answer to this one, given your answers to the previous ones. But score a century, but your team loses the game, or get out for a golden duck, but your team wins.
Second one.
Yeah, that's no surprises there at all. Very much a team player. But yeah, that pretty much wraps up today's podcast, Henry. Just before we go, do you have anything to plug social media? I mean, your counselling business, for example. I can leave the link to it down below.
Yeah, I've just started it basically, so it's a link on Facebook only for now. It's just HD19 Sports Counseling. Yeah, that's where we're starting, and something that I'm really looking forward to. And like I mentioned earlier, doesn't matter where in the world you are with technology and where we are at the moment, you can do it everywhere. Set up a Zoom call, 30, 40 minutes, and that's the start, And it's I'm looking to have an impact on people, and like I said, I think that's the reason why I'm here, to be put here, and to have a positive impact on people. Because I think we all would love to have some more positivity in our life in these days.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. But all that's left for me to say, Henry, obviously it's been an absolute pleasure. It really has. I mean, to talk to someone who I've been watching for years in South African cricket, it's been incredible. It's been a great podcast, very interesting, very entertaining as well at times. But yeah, thank you. Honestly, thank you very much for that. And I wish you the very best of luck with your counselling and obviously your life. Post cricket, sorry. But
yeah.
you're not pre-cricket. That was a long time ago. But yes, that pretty much. But yeah, that wraps up today's podcast. For those who've tuned in, thank you for listening. And as always, guys, enjoy the rest of your day.